Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani, and yes, what a finish at the Masters today. And that's something that we should look forward to because the U.S. Open is coming to Pittsburgh here in a couple of months. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll also get into the Pirates and the Penguins, but the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 2 weeks removed from a draft. With us tonight, Chris Adamski from the Trib. We have Ray Fittipaldo of the Post-Gazette, Jason Mackey, Post-Gazette, and also a man who does a lot of work here with us on KDKA on the Sports Call. So, want to get right into it, and Ray, I'm going to start with you on this one. TJ Watt made a little cryptic tweet or social media post, whatever you want to call it, right? And since then, he hasn't responded to it. Now, with contract negotiations, this sort of stuff happens.
Right.
He doesn't strike me as the guy who normally plays it, but he did in this regard because he hasn't responded. What do you think the whole thing means?
You know, I think in this time when players are going after money, things can get contentious. And you remember Cam Hayward last year not showing up for OTAs, threatening he could finish his career elsewhere. So, and he's Mr. Steeler. He's a team captain. So this type of stuff happens. I think we all know in the end this contract is going to get done. But I will tell you, Bob, the Cleveland Browns made this really difficult on the Steelers. On March 6th, Max Crosby signed a $35 million a year contract, top of the market for an outside linebacker edge rusher. The Browns signed Myles Garrett 3 days later, $40 million. So they didn't just sign him $1 million over, $2 million over. They went $5 million over what the market was set at. That's why we are where we are.
Which is what the Browns seem to do. They did it with a quarterback, now they're doing it here. With the Steelers, have been better off doing this a year ago when they had a chance.
Yeah, well, if you remember, too, Myles Garrett, it was social media post that started that. Now, his was a statement put up on a fancy font and said he wanted to go from Cleveland to Canton and said he wanted to trade or whatever. So this was a little more, much we can kind of, criticize TJ for doing this. It's the way you do business, and I guess he saw what worked. Now, that's the Browns. And what did the Browns do with the quarterback market and the guaranteed money market with the quarterback situation? Deshaun Watson 3 or 4 years ago now. So now they do this with the edge rusher market. But, I mean, the Steelers have never – you could say, I guess you could stretch to guys like a Franco Harris or a Troy Polamalu that they let go. But I think everybody knew that was performance-based at the end of their careers.
Right.
We could sit here and make a good case to say it's not smart at 30 years old to give TJ a multi-year, 3 or 4 year deal. But he's still in his – prime, or he's not, he might be declining from his elite peak, but he's still he's an all-pro caliber player. The Steelers never not keep those guys.
Yeah, but at $40 million, that's the thing, Jason. A lot of people have said maybe it's in their best interest to trade TJ Watt. I personally don't think that'll happen. Do you think it's in consideration?
No, I don't. I don't think they will. And to Chris's point, I mean, I would like to make that case that it doesn't make a lot of sense to pay TJ Watt $40 million. I mean, look at what his contract and what they've won here, which has been largely nothing. Why am I going to up the contract when he's 30 years old? What am I clinging to here? If you look around the NFL, it's some of the best defensive players, the highest salaries. What have those teams won, Bob? They really haven't achieved much of anything. I would prefer the Steelers spend money differently. Again, I don't think they're going to. I'm not naive here. I think they're going to sign TJ Watt and nothing's going to change. I'm just going to disagree with it. I'd like to see them spend their dollars a different way.
Yeah.
It's philosophical, both the Steelers and the NFL. In almost every other sport, and I know there's no cap in baseball, there's a lot of reasons why things are different, but you might see a team start to trade guys in their 30s, sort of rebuild in that sense. The NFL, you'll occasionally see a team do it, but not too often. The Steelers don't ever do it. I mean, the Steelers, you can make the case if they get to the draft and they don't have Aaron Rodgers signed by then, if they do draft if Shedeur Sanders follows them, well, let's kind of reset this all and trade TJ then, but they're not going to do it.
They need a quarterback. That's the problem right now, and we're in that conundrum. So this week, Ray, we saw Shedeur Sanders show up here. We've seen Jackson Dart. They've talked about a lot of people. Somehow Jalen Milroe has been invited to the green room there. And normally that doesn't happen unless somebody thinks he's going to be drafted. Right. Where is the Steelers situation when it comes to what they do in the first round?
Yeah, I still think it's leaning towards them drafting a guy probably 3rd or 4th round, like a Will Howard type. You mentioned Milroe. I thought Milroe might be a candidate at number 83, but when you get invited to the draft, it doesn't mean you're going in the first round, but I would be surprised now if he got out of the 2nd round. So we still don't know what the answer is for Aaron Rodgers, but regardless of that, I still think it's going to be a guy, 3rd, 4th round, who's going to be a developmental player, and they could still draft one next year.
Bob, when you're in the green room, do you have to wear a green jacket?
No, because you'll disappear then. Can't hit green on green. I'm doing it now because it's Masters
Can't
week.
do the
and I don't
weather.
have a
Okay,
green
all right.
screen
I just
behind
wanted to
me,
check.
So that's, no.
By the way, what was your dinner, the champions dinner when you won in 19 whatever?
It was a lot of Italian pasta, yes. So, yeah, I mean, that's surprising that he's invited there. But
It is.
So do you think they'll take a quarterback at all? I don't think it's first round. A lot of people seem to think it's going to be a first-round selection.
I don't see it being in the first round. That doesn't make sense to me. You've got the offer out to Aaron Rodgers. Theoretically, if Aaron Rodgers signs, that's everything, at least publicly, that we've heard so far, Bob, that Aaron Rodgers, that Art Rooney's feeling good about it. We haven't heard anything subsequent to that. If he signs, I don't see any point in taking a quarterback in the first round. You need to surround him with the best possible team. To me, that's a defensive lineman. Next year, completely different story. Now, as Ray was saying, in the third, fourth, fifth round, yeah, somebody falls to you, Will Howard or whatever. Jalen Milroe, I don't think is going to get there. Jackson Dart, I have no idea.
Quinn Ewers, somebody
Third,
like that.
fourth, fifth round, fine, but not in the first. You have far too many other needs.
Yeah, because next year at this time, we're going to be chasing the same situation, right? Regardless of what happens here. Because most likely they're still going to need another quarterback because Rodgers is
and that all ties together. Signing a 41-year-old quarterback means you're trying. We could argue maybe they're not ready to win a Super Bowl this year. And
But they think they are. That's what they're telling
You don't bring in a 41-year-old unless you think you are. So therefore, you have to use the draft assets to make your team this year better. I don't say it's a luxury because, of course, it's not a luxury to have a quarterback of the future, but they need to win now if they have a 41-year-old quarterback.
And the Steelers always scout more than 1 year ahead. These scouts and the GMs, Andy Weidel, they're looking ahead to 2026. They know what that quarterback class is going to be.
And they're going to have more ammunition to try to go make moves either, right? Jason, they can move up if they want to move up.
They can. And that's been something quietly I think has been very good. Ray, you've written about this recently. The compensatory picks that Omar Khan has stockpiled. Very smart move. I mean, people have obviously been critical of the work Omar has done, but I like that a lot. And to me, that's targeting 2026 for the quarterback.
All right, real quick, I want to get your draft order. First and third, at this point, they don't have a second. Chris, what do you say they'll take? And I'm talking about position only, no names. First and third rounds, what do they do?
Defensive line, for sure, in the first round I don't want to say I'd be surprised if they don't, but I'll do that for sure. And then wide receiver in the third round.
Defensive line, quarterback.
Ooh.
Defensive line, running back.
All three different answers. That tells you where the Steelers, they have a lot of needs at this point. When we come back, speaking of needs, the Pirates have a lot of needs. And right now they're 5-11 after being swept in Cincinnati. We're going to talk about their plight of the Pirates. It's coming up next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, we're back talking about the Pirates who were swept out of Cincinnati, and they got shut out today. They only had 10 hits in 3 games. They're now 5-11 with the worst offense. Jason, I think you chronicled this on a tweet and in a column too. I mean, they're just abysmal offensively, and it got worse today. What do they do? It looks like they have a bunch of platoon players everywhere and no real bona fide guys, which is why you have had how many starting lineups for them?
Bob, I don't know what you can do. And the tweet included them being last in Major League Baseball in batting average, slugging percentage, OPS, runs. They're in the bottom 5th of Major League Baseball. Run differential. Before today, they were second to worst in Major League Baseball. It's terrible. I don't know what you do. It's not like they have a whole bunch of guys at AAA that you can bring up. They brought up Henry Davis. That didn't affect any change. The guys they have are going to have to increase their performance. But, I mean, I can't give a magic answer. You need to be more aggressive. They're far too passive at the plate. I think they're 4th in strikeouts, something like that. I mean, striking out far too much for the type of lineup they have. They're never going to hit a bunch of home runs, but they're in a bad place offensively. I don't have any magic solution, but for an organization that banked a lot this offseason on being able to fix things with a new hitting coach, boy, has it not worked.
No. In fact, it's looked worse than it did last year.
Yeah, I mean, you change hitting coaches, that's just window dressing, right? The issue is talent, and they don't have enough talent. Bob, they didn't do anything in the offseason to improve their roster. And here we are, you know, they're playing guys who were cut by other teams. This Candelario guy, now they're going to run him out there, and he's going to be one of their starting 9. So that's where they are right now, and I don't see things getting a lot better.
I mean, that's the biggest indictment to me. Is this is year 6, and it's fine. Superstars haven't panned out, whatever. But when you have the 2 waiver claims are starting today, Valdez and whoever you just said, I don't even,
What's the shortstop?
Canaria. I want to say Candelaria.
And they had Chang.
Candelario would have been an improvement.
Yeah, well, that would. So, but I don't know. You're across the again. This is year 6, and it's like of the 8 or 9 starting spots, what are like a plus player you have? You could probably say O'Neal Cruz, I guess. Well, that's more in potential, but okay, we'll give you that. And Reynolds is still, but Reynolds is from the old regime.
And he can't play the field right now, which affects their
Nick
lineup.
Gonzalez, he might be an average starting player. It's just like,
Yeah, I mean,
there's so many holes. I don't even know where to start.
We're not talking about a team in the middle of a rebuild. Like, this is a team that is picked very high in the draft over the past 5 years. You would think somewhere in there you found a hitter and that you've developed, brought up through your system, and he's a productive player by now. You know, I think back to like the old model of college football. You might say a coach gets like 4 years to get his players in or whatever. They've had more than that. They've had a ton of time to get their own guys in here, get them trained, developed, all this stuff. Even the best hitters in the lineup, they're from other regimes. Did this group go out and find Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen, O'Neal Cruz? No. They inherited them.
The problem is that if you start over, then too, it's like this fan base is at a breaking point. You can feel it's palpable how an opening day.
Yeah.
And it's like,
But you have to start
so
over
they
at
fire
some
everybody.
point if
That would
this
sort of
continues.
placate the fan base, but at the same time, then you're going to start over again and start. They're going to reset things in another 4 or 5 years.
They're not going to, if they fire everybody, they're not starting over. They can't.
No, but
I know it's going to
so-
be viewed as a start over. They're not. It's not going to be a blow it up.
Will they do that in season? Will they actually fire everyone in season, or would they have to wait until after the season to do it? It is year 6, as we've.
Oh, they would do it in season, Bob. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to be imminent.
Yeah, what kind of change would come from that? Though that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you fire the manager. It's not going to turn everybody into qualified hitters, but sooner or later, I mean, they haven't produced. Shelton, Charrington, you have to make a change. You have to do something. You have to show people that you care. I mean, Bob Nutting is well within his rights to change whatever he wants at this point, up to and including himself. But, you know, there's a lot of things that need changed right now with that organization.
Ray, it was last week that Bob Nutting said, I believe I've given all the tools and resources to this group. What does that say about his position and their position? It can't be viewed as safe at this point, right, based on that statement?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. He's saying, I'm giving you the resources. It's your job to go out there and win. But, Bob, what did they do? I mean, we know they were hamstrung. You know, Ben Charrington didn't have the resources to go out and improve this team to make it a contender. I know you picked them to win, what, 85
Don't bring
games?
that. We don't need to talk about that right now, right?
I picked them.
Why would you do that?
Jason, I picked them to win 70, and I think that was vastly overestimated.
They're on a pace right now to lose 111.
They might not win 65 games.
I know.
So.
I know. I picked 84. This will be my last time on the showdown.
Well, prognostication is not our strength here.
That's just the problem. I mean, if the AAA was stocked right now, and you could say, okay, well, there's with hitters, and I guess they're pitching still their depth, but I mean, come on, there's not any help.
The longer it goes, the pitching will get frustrated by this because it doesn't. You can't, like tomorrow, Skeens is going to pitch. He better pitch a one hitter because they only get 2 a game. We got to take a break here on that note. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Masters and the Penguins. So both those topics are on deck. Don't go away. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Well, the Penguins only have 1 game left, but it's pretty much fait accompli. You know they're not going to be in the playoffs for the 3rd year in a row. And this is the first time, I think, ever that the Rangers, the Bruins, and the Penguins all miss the playoffs at the same time. Chris, I want to ask you about your reflections of this season, where they are. Tristan Jarry's played better at the end. To what end? What do you think they do with him? And your observations of what you saw this year.
Yeah, at least, I mean, we just talked about the Pirates. There's a little more hope because you saw a couple guys come up here late with the Koivunen and McGroarty. You know, you have a little bit more prospect depth there than with the Pirates. You have some goalie prospects, although the one that brought up Blomqvist this year didn't turn out too well. So at least you can feel they played a little better here down the stretch in terms today, notwithstanding, in terms of they're winning some games, and you could probably talk yourself into things. You're okay. At least
that's what I'm afraid of.
And they get a
may talk themselves into Tristan Jarry has actually responded.
I mean, I still believe if someone would take Tristan Jarry, though, it'd be interesting to see if they had what the buyout situation is. I mean, Ryan Graves seems a worse contract than Jarry at this point. At least Jarry can play for you and be a backup.
Erik Karlsson too. I mean, it's not as hopeless as the Pirates, but going into the offseason, Bob, I don't see them as a team that's going to contend for the playoffs next year either. And that would be going on 5 years for an organization that was really the class of the NHL from 2008 until 2018.
Happens to a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Detroit was that one juggernaut team, and now here they are. How many years in a row they haven't been in it? Chicago.
I don't know if any of this stuff can happen, Bob, but I think what needs to happen is if they somehow get out from under the Tristan Jarry contract, if they find somebody to take him, the Erik Karlsson deal too. I mean, you need to be able to trade those guys. Ryan Graves, nobody's going to take that. That's going to be a buyout. But if you can free up that money with the salary cap going up, getting some contributions from young guys, McGroarty, Koivunen, Murashov might be ready to play next season, Jack St. Ivan if he comes up here, Owen Pickering. They have some good, young, talented players. But they need some cap space and spend it a different way, get some youth, get some speed, people that fit Mike Sullivan's system more.
So how active do we think the Penguins might be in this? They're going to have money to spend, and they'll try to figure out ways to do it. Did they have to go out and make a big play in your mind to address a top 6 position?
To me, it's almost like, but see, you have the Crosby ticking time clock here that he's not going to be playing, let alone be at the top, at the elite level he still is at. So it's almost like if you're the Penguins or a fan, the punt on next season, but you still want to kind of maybe push the clock one more year. If you can somehow get any younger players next year again. This year, he sort of did that laundering of contracts by getting draft picks for maybe do that one more year and bring up a couple more young guys, let them develop, and then you really try to compete then in 26, 27.
That's the shame of the season. Sidney Crosby had a terrific season.
Yes.
That makes you believe, okay, let's try to do it one more time for Sid, but I don't know if they have what it takes.
I think Kyle Dubas pretty much said that. He said kind of the rebuild stage, Jason, is over, right?
Yeah.
So if
the
it
execution stage now is where they're at.
The execution stage. How do they execute in 1 year to try to take advantage of another year for Crosby?
I mean, I think they're going to trade some of those picks and get something, get younger players, get people who can help the NHL team. And that's where the salary cap space is going to come in. I don't know if it's going to work, but I don't think they're going to sit on their hands. I don't think they're going to accumulate more draft picks. I think that phase is done. At this point, it's about improving the NHL club and how much can you do, how competitive can you make this team. Other teams around the NHL have done it, Pomp. Like, look at the Kings, look at the Capitals, even the Rangers to a degree. Teams have rebuilt on the fly what the Penguins are trying to do. I don't know if it's going to work, but I do think there's a template for it.
Yeah, well, we'll find out. It's going to be a very interesting offseason. That's all we've been talking about lately here with these teams is the offseason. And we'll do it again with the Penguins now and the Pirates down the road, and certainly the Steelers. This offseason is big. When we come back, what an emotional day it was down at Augusta National. Rory McIlroy completes the Grand Slam. We're going to talk about that, knowing that the U.S. Open is coming here, and Rory McIlroy will be one of the favorites. That's next. Well, never before has a player had 4 double bogeys in a tournament at Augusta and won. Rory McIlroy did that today in one of the most emotional up-and-down games you're going to find. Jason, there were so many key shots. I mean, he had a lead at 4 shots at one point, then it dissipated, then he got it back, then he lost it again. Biggest takeaway from today?
That Rory McIlroy is going to give somebody a heart attack playing golf, and that somebody was almost me. Think about what we saw on 15, Bob, his approach there, the 184-yard 8-iron on 17. Then he goes into the playoff hole, has to make another one of those money shots. I didn't know where it was going to go. I mean, Justin Rose gets so close to the pin, easy birdie putt, makeable, didn't make it, and then he does one better. Just some fantastic shot making mixed with some borderline choking that ultimately didn't hurt him. But, I think it was 15 the one that kind of like wrapped around the trees. That was his second shot on the par 5.
He missed that.
I mean, that hole right there encapsulates his entire round. He had a chance for an eagle after one of the best golf shots I've ever seen. And yeah, it was dramatic. Didn't need to be that dramatic, but it was certainly entertaining.
That's like Justin Rose made up 7 shots.
Yeah, that would have been the second biggest comeback ever if he had completed it.
It's crazy to think of that. And Rory, you talk about he sort of transcends one of the biggest names in golf, the people that are more casual fans, like I'll admit I am at golf. And to have him, because if he would have blown this one, right?
Well,
you talk about he already has that reputation or that past. That was something hung over him forever. We weren't talking about him.
I think you saw the emotion at the end was because 10 years had gone by. He hasn't won a major in that time, Ray, and then you saw it all come crashing in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he had great approach shots today, right? But he wasn't great with the wedge. He wasn't great with the putter. But in the end, he got it done. And I think they put up a graphic on CBS how many times it took great players to win the Grand Slam. He finally got it done, I think, 13th opportunity or 13th attempt today. Got to feel good for him that he finally got there.
And so we can look forward to some of this, Jason, coming to Pittsburgh at the U.S. Open at Oakmont in June. That course is going to have a whole different look to it because of what they've done with some of the renovations. And for those of you who don't know, this year there is no graduated rough. It used to go 1 inch to 2.5 to 5. Now it's 5 all the way. It's going to be thick if you miss it. I can imagine the same sort of event playing out here with all these kind of emotions.
Well, and that's what the U.S. Open wants, right? Isn't that what it's renowned for? It's going to test players. It's going to create havoc. I think the Masters almost feels tame compared to what we're going to see at the U.S. Open. I can't wait to see it.
More carnage is what you'll see.
Well, okay, there you go. It's probably a better word for it. And I think of some of the crazy stuff that happened, like Patrick Reed, his eagle to get back into contention, or Lucas Oberg, or Ludwig Oberg, I keep calling him Lucas, just all over the 18th green. Like, I think we're going to see a lot of that, a lot of unpredictability at the U.S. Open.
Oberg is a guy to watch, I think, at the U.S. Open. Only his second Masters, and he played really well. So big international flavor at the Masters this year. We'll see if that plays out at the U.S. Open as well.
I think that the leaderboard almost all weekend was full of kind of big names that people know, and that's something. A lot of times in these majors, you have a guy that again, is somebody who comes out of nowhere, or somebody maybe a big golf fan. I'm sure Pomp knew everybody who might come. But you have those names like that. So I think and when you play at a course like Oakmont, that's what you want. And it's pretty, I think it's really cool that in Pittsburgh we have what's considered pretty much. I mean, It
is, and it's an anchor site.
Yeah.
I have 30 seconds, real quick. Would you expect the scores at Oakmont to be what it was when a guy like Cabrera won at +5, or when Johnson won it was -4, or somewhere in between?
More +5.
More than
You think maybe in the middle, but I don't think it's going to be very. Yeah, the scores aren't going to be pretty.
I don't think it'll be +5. I think it'll be under, but it won't be 4 under.
Yeah, I mean, how many golfers could be under? I mean, if you hit under, you're certainly going to be in contention if you're under par. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially weather dependent also. If you get a lot of rain, it could change things.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you the spring is in the air, as you know, even though we only saw sun today for the first time ever. But adventure is calling, so gear up with a new ride from #1 Cochran Subaru. Choose from hundreds of sedans, hatchbacks, and SUVs. Then take advantage of sign and drive leases on every new vehicle in stock, or find great finance offers on the buy you're looking for. Also, you can add peace of mind. They will even honor any current competitive price you get someplace else. So get your adventure going at #1 Cochran Subaru in Monroeville and Butler County. All right, it's been fun. We are done. That's going to wrap it up tonight. Our thanks here to Chris Adamski, Ray Fittipaldo, Jason Mackey. There's also a lot coming up this week, as you know, and we'll be a week closer to the NFL Draft next Sunday night, and we'll get some interesting takes on what happens this week. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next Sunday night right here from the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.